Hey there, American Horror Story fans. We are talking American Horror Story Roanoke Season 6, Chapter 9. There's only 2 episodes left. This season went by so fast. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the American Horror Story After Show for American Horror Story Roanoke Season 6, Chapter 9, the second to last episode.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wow. Crazy. I am your host, Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl. And today I am joined by...
Hey, I'm Kelly McInerney. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HollyWeirdo.
Hey, I'm Michelle Madison, and you can find me on Instagram at Michelle_MadisonTV.
Hello, this is Zach Couch. You can find me on social media at that name, ZACHKELCH.
So this episode basically wraps up our whole story arc, which I have to say, just initial thoughts. What do you guys feel in this episode? Is it yay? Is it nay? Is it a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of
some
both.
mixed
Yeah.
messages.
I did like the season. Like, it kept me entertained. Usually I kind of get bored of it,
Yeah.
you know? But this one I was like, what's going to happen?
Yeah,
What's
picked
Right.
up like
happen?
2...
They did, I think doing the like separate chunks were good because I think sometimes you get tired halfway through, and so this kept that going. I was I was still into it in episode 9. I don't know how. We'll see how the next episode goes to wrap up the whole season. It's yeah, mixed feelings right now.
The last 2 definitely are my favorite so far.
Oh.
Not this one, but the one before it and the week before.
Oh,
were my
there you
favorites.
go. Those kind of,
Yeah.
the 2 that kind of went
They
side
were
by
gory,
side.
all hills have eyes.
But I think it's just because that's just doing like such a classic and simple scary movie story type of a thing instead of like the elaborate interweaving of all these narratives, which is traditionally what we get out of a season of American Horror Story. This last little section is just a classic.
Very linear.
Yeah, it's very linear, very focused, and a nice little bow for the viewers. So it makes it, I think, you get much more payoff as a viewer, I think, with this type of a story.
And it was a lot of
like that.
explainers. Like, I think they were trying to tie in some things for us, connect the dots if we weren't already getting it.
Yeah, which
That's what I was thinking.
One thing was, an interesting way since they've basically killed off most of the cast at this
so
point.
much death.
The way that we start this episode is we've been hearing that Taisa Farmiga, I never say that right.
I think it's just Taisa?
Is it Tassa? That was
don't-
There's an I, shouldn't it be?
Yeah, I thought
I'm
it was
assuming.
Taisa?
Taisa?
Taisa is
I
how I
can't
say
help.
it, but maybe
Sure,
it's just
say that. We'll go with
Taisa,
that.
and I just
Yeah.
say it wrong. Well,
Sure.
Taisa Farmiga. She finally makes an appearance. We've been waiting for her to show up. Loved her in Coven, so we're excited to see her playing now Sophie, who is just a random Instagram
Social media
enthusiast of
hound.
social media and
Soon to be
fan
doctor.
of My Roanoke Nightmares out there with Milo and Todd, her 2 friends. So they've decided, since they're fans of the show, they're going to go out during the blood moon and they're going to see, what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we finally see what happened to Diane, which is that her car flipped completely over, and then her limping ghost lures the children to her dead body that the police don't find and don't believe. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, so they tell us they don't find her body since they're in cahoots with the Polk family.
No, I think I believe that. It seemed like it was actually, which is weird. This episode was the first time we kind of all turned. We were just like, well, what's like the turnover rate of when these people should become the ghost versions of themselves?
Yeah.
Because Diana died on day 1 and is a ghost now apparently. Rory died on day 1. We haven't seen it. Like no one.
Yeah,
else
why
is
hasn't
ghost.
Rory come back to
We
help
know-
out Audrey?
Yeah, to be in
Yeah.
the ghoul gang.
And why did we never see Cricket? The real Cricket.
Well, that's a bigger question. I'm just sad that we didn't see him again because
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really thought he was gonna come back and help them in the afterworld.
I loved
I
him.
thought he was gonna do that.
Maybe, like, they could only have a certain amount of power to, like, show up whenever they want. I think, like, the butcher or whatever summons them to do stuff. Kind of.
that
But
makes
what about
sense.
Priscilla? Priscilla was able to.
She's
help
gone
Flora.
rogue.
Yeah, well, she
She
like...
has the child youth innocence
She's a bastard.
thing.
And she died with, like, all of them, I feel like.
Yeah.
She's, like, the OG ghosts.
A lot of questions.
Yeah. Well, we get at least a few answers. Well, Dylan does, unfortunately, not ones that he wants when he shows up thinking that all of this is rigged, and Audrey screaming that everybody's dead.
Right.
Quite dramatically, in true Audrey style. Finds out that, yeah, legit, everybody has died. This is not fake. So they're saying, what should we do? Brett Snow, the Uber driver, makes a cameo. Which I just have to say, shout out to. I feel like
funny.
they just brought him back because all the fans were like,
He's hot.
I think we just were confused as to why the Uber driver was getting screen time, and
I
so
think
then it was just like a
honestly,
cameo
it was
back.
just I think it was probably a little comedic relief. Just
Yeah,
like,
I think
why
it was
not?
just a joke
Yeah.
at this point. It was like, don't forget.
Yeah.
I mean, also, how many Uber drivers are gonna be in like middle of nowhere?
Yeah, I think he may come back. I think we may get more of an explanation about him.
I think
in the
Brett
next
Snow should have
episode.
his own spin-off, and it's just like
Haunted Uber.
Yeah. It's like riding in cars, like the car karaoke, but instead it's with
Ghosts.
ghouls.
Yeah, or soon to be
Yeah.
ghosts.
Sign
great.
any driver up for that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll be taking that Uber ride.
So we find out it's the last night of the blood moon, which is the most dangerous. And Lee is saying, they're never going to make it if they're going to go back to the Polk place. Like, if they're going to try to just book it out of here, they're not
Right.
going to happen. Their only bet is to go to the Polk farm and to get Monae and to get the truck. And what Lee really wants are the tapes.
The tapes.
That's 100% what she is after. But because of Dylan, a.k.a. Wes Bentley, a.k.a. Ambrose, everybody has so many names in this.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he has his military background, he's like, no man left behind, let's go get Monae. Which is the impetus for them taking a very long trek to the Polk family farm.
You brought out a good point on this one.
I get we got to raise the stakes here. It's the last episode, but they wake up in the morning.
Feeling like P. Diddy?
Oh, see, I was actually gonna go with Saved by the Bell. Wake up in the morning and yeah.
Their
anyway.
alarm goes out of warning.
Yeah. Anyway, they wake up in the morning
He
and
says, we think we'll never make it in time.
and
It works.
actually, yeah, it's still good. It's going. Why do they arrive to the Polk house at literal sunset?
Yeah, that's
Why is there
is-
like okay, let's
You
think
had the
like
whole
maybe
day.
like we'll
Yeah, the
say
whole
8 a.m.
day.
because there's no way they got like a good night's sleep. We'll say 8 a.m. late. And then they get there at what 5 something p.m. Where did those 9 hours
Even if you
go?
want to be generous and be like, oh, they slept in and it's like 10 o'clock, still,
Yeah.
we see them later come back
Right.
from the farm in like
Which-
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which apparently this
So-
episode seemed to actually, we were wondering this, if during the day of the blood moon you're okay. And it seems like that's the
no.
case.
Well, there's
Because the
Ghost.
professor
Di-
got killed during the day.
So,
Yeah, but
The
Diane
rules are
too.
a little inconsistent. That's
Yeah.
that's what gets me. Is it seems like the power of the ghost determines. Like the pig man is like a super powerful one, so he can be present during the day because he's the only one that we saw killed during the daytime, besides the like actual colonists.
No, the guys,
shot-
the 3 hunters when they killed the
Oh,
professor.
you're
oh,
right.
with the bow and
Yeah, boom.
right.
Okay, then yeah, there you go. It's
So
just
then,
inconsistent.
so they just let them get a good night's sleep and
tried
hang
to
out
help them
during
out.
the day, and I can't.
It's like weird reverse vampire rules, kind of, but not
Yeah.
really.
So they arrive at the Polk house like literally as it's about to become pitch black, of course, because now that the sun is about to set, the moon is out, and everyone whatever. Ugh.
The
And
one
then-
thing that they I don't know. I think I'm jumping ahead. I don't want to say that yet.
Well, before we even get any resolution there, we find out from the kids that they are now reporting all of their stuff to the police.
And the police
And
don't
Milo, in, again, very true Audrey fashion, very dramatically, it's like, you guys are just trying to cover this up, man. Nobody's helping us. It's just like a regular horror movie, just trying to cover everything up. And I'm like, all right.
Scream.
I do actually
yeah.
always like the genre aware character in scary movies when you have that character
Yeah.
who like is like, no, we have to follow the rules of a scary movie.
Yeah,
and,
just like in
and you are
Scream.
breaking a major one, Mr. Police Officer. You're supposed to believe us.
That's how every horror movie works. The cops don't believe it until it's too late.
Do you guys think so? They found Diane or whatever the day before, and that's like that's when
I think
the next
I
day.
think
Same
I
day.
think their storyline, because it obviously it catches up by the end of the episode. We assume like each break that we see them in this episode is like one day. I feel like the first time we saw them was like day one.
So
because
when
they
she
say
just
it's
got
the
killed?
start of the blood moon. Like, so if
Yeah.
it's supposed to be from like, you assume day one they see all this crazy stuff, they go report it to the cops.
Yeah.
Then later they come back.
Yeah.
But at this point, they've just gone to the cops and they're reporting it, and the cops are saying, you know, ever since this TV show came out, everybody's having all these hopes that they report that are keeping us from doing our real job. Get out of here, kids.
And they want to go all Scooby-Doo on everybody.
So they decide to go,
investigate.
Jinkies. That was a poor choice, guys.
But do we, at this point, did we find out that the cops went and didn't find anything yet?
The cops do say that they have not found, because they say, okay, we'll go back and look for her body at the car. And they say, we didn't find a car.
Right.
So that's the first inkling that something is not
think,
right.
yeah.
Well, they did find the car because
They
they
didn't find
had
the body.
They had the body
cam,
cam,
yeah.
and they showed that they saw the car, but there was no body in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I
So
was wondering if they actually covered up the body because the cops are in it with the Polks.
I think
I
maybe
don't
the
know.
Polks took it or
I
something.
think the body was just gone. I think because the bodies vanish and then become like weird ghost entities. Maybe that's why we didn't see Rory, is because he's still strung up in the tree. I don't know.
Still, but then everyone
It's
that
still
got killed by
inconsistent.
them their bodies should be gone too, but they're still around.
It's weird.
See, yeah, inconsistent for me.
Well, at least they have a driving force, and they have what makes sense for them to go back to the Polk family house. Because otherwise, if you weren't going to get your friend, which Dylan, even when they get there, is like, screw it, man. Like, no man left behind. Let's just get the truck and get out of here.
Yeah. He's like, if you hear me
Makes
start it, you got
sense.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
just
And
getting
Lee-
the tapes is stupid.
Yeah, which Lee is determined to get the tapes, and Audrey, very smart, is like, look, Lee, I don't care if we're empty-handed or not. When that truck starts, we are out of here. If you're not here, that's on you. I'm leaving you.
Yeah.
And at this point, I would be saying the exact same thing.
Yep.
Audrey.
no, at this point, I'll be in the truck.
Audrey.
Oh, right? I'd be like, I'll be in the passenger seat while you hotwire that bad boy.
Audrey had a really good turn this episode where I think
agree.
it turned to like the final hour for her, and I think all of her dramatic actress bullshit went out the window, and she really was just in survival mode. And I think it was probably I would say the entire season, the character that you could actually like see or relate to the most, because she really was just like, she went fight or flight, and like was really gonna fight and did.
And she hit her lowest point. Like, we see
Right.
her when she's doing her whole confessional to Rory, and then sees his body way back, and then seeing her from that point to now coming and going into the house, seeing the grow house Monae tied up, and immediately going to rescue her, while Lee selfishly goes and scours for tapes. But then she incredibly intelligently, too, when old man Polk walks in and says he's going to kill them, she gets on tape.
Yeah.
Says, say that again.
Yeah.
He says, I'm going to murder you real slow. And shoots him in the head.
Self-defense.
So,
There you go.
That was
So smart. Like, she's the one who's like, okay, what you said makes sense. If I'm going to have to do some murdering, I want people to know that it is justifiable murdering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cover your tracks.
Because otherwise, this crazy Polk man is going to try to vindicate Mama.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be good. Unfortunately, Lot is still outside, and Dylan is not too aware of that while he's hot wiring the truck.
Doesn't take long either.
Stabby McStab stab.
Yeah.
He got stabbed real quick,
Yeah.
God,
which it looked like he should have died then. Like, I'm
we
like,
didn't
that
really
was some
see
intense
anything,
stabbing.
so,
Yeah.
but we just saw blood splatter, so I don't know.
But he's done tours, so he's a strong guy, so that's probably why
Yeah.
he's still holding on.
But I mean, luckily he looked dead enough that as the villagers approach, he's
come out.
thinking, he's gonna maybe. It's
Yeah.
looking like he's gonna be in the clear. That's gonna be how he dies, because Lot says, "Mom isn't here to protect us anymore." Hops in the truck, takes off. Later, we find out that's probably not what happened for him, unfortunately.
Right. But then somehow again, like, just see this. It's again, this is the
jump.
inconsistency.
This is the weird jump that then they say, okay, they're at the house, and they say, okay, the Polk family house. We don't have the truck because Lot just took it. Run back to the house. Just run.
Which again, one of the times when like we keep having times when getting to and from the house of the Polk family thing is like hours and hours, and like no way you can do it, or we just get a jump cut in their back.
Or they're already there, and that was this case. Was I feel like we needed some sort of. Even just some sort of note, like, oh, I'm exhausted, like some line, like just something about
like they knew it's the last night. At this point, why not just keep running for the border of this mythical bubble that we just
because
know.
What are you going back for at this point? That's what I'm like. Why are you back at the house? That's what I didn't understand was that, and of course, Monae screaming for Audrey to calm down, which in the history of anybody calming down.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
No.
Can't tell somebody to calm down. That's just going to infuriate you. So, Audrey, go ahead.
Oh, I don't understand why, like, they could have just maybe lived in the bomb thing.
That's what I was thinking.
The cellar?
Yeah. That's
going
what,
there.
like, I thought maybe that's why they were going back to the house, but then they just sat in a bedroom and drank. So I don't really know. Because
again,
same. But
when Kathy Bates' character was in the cellar, she also got the Blair Witch doll, so maybe that wasn't safe either.
Yeah, but it
at
was
least try
dolls,
something new, y'all.
Yeah.
You know it's not safe there. Why not?
Yeah. And also, like, I guess can see why they didn't want to run to the border, because you don't know how big these woods are and what'll pop up.
True.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, I guess they feel like a known scary thing is better than an unknown scary thing, but I don't know. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. I'm with you, Zach. I'm like, keep running. Keep running until you get out of there and it's not haunted anymore.
So, question. The guy, I can't remember his name, the one that was supposed to come back as the pig man. So, he didn't have a cell phone on him?
Dylan?
Dylan, no, remember they had that dumb exposition conversation.
So he got his cell phone.
He
taken
took my
seriously.
phone and, he said, don't bring your phone. And, which that I also didn't buy because I was like, how did you get your Uber?
Yeah,
I guess he ordered it and then left it at home.
But she still got to rate the Uber driver.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, he thought he was showing up for like a quick couple-hour gig and he could go home and rate that Uber later.
And I want to know how
Red Snow is never going to get a 5-star rating.
God.
All of his Ubers.
He's going to have an impending rating forever. It's going to ruin his career.
And how did those kids, like, how is it their cell phone works? You know, I'm still
remember
on that.
The phones that Cheyenne Jackson, what was his name again? Shelby?
They didn't have
Shelby, the main character.
Sydney.
It was this. Sydney gave him just them all phones that don't work.
That I know, but I'm just saying, like, no one had a cell phone. Even Lee's ex-husband at the time when he was in the show, like, he didn't have a cell phone on him. It's just weird.
Well, they're not allowed to have cell phones.
Yeah.
Right.
For that one, I'll give them that. That one I get. But it seems like the whole house, them going back to the house, was just so they could find the tape with Lee's confession, which they see. And I do love that, Monae's whole reaction to it. We get a little bit of comedic relief.
At what moment did they get the tape?
I guess I think
I thought Lee got it. Didn't
I think Audrey found the
Audrey had the
handheld.
camera because that's what she was filming when she shot Old Man Polk.
Oh, right,
where she used the same camera because she grabbed So then she rewound it, and then they saw Lee being tortured, and then they saw Lee confessing.
Right. That was it. I forgot that part.
And so then they're assuming Lee is dead at this point. Little do they know, the Scathach is crawling around the woods.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, sex squatch.
And how does she choose who she's gonna give this power
She clearly,
to?
I think she clearly is. I think to me, it's like, as crazy and murderous as Lee is, she's a female driven by love and passion, and I think that's kind of
she's also related to Matt. Maybe she just
kind of the thing. You
also,
know?
I think because she has a past of killing, she killed her ex-husband, so I think that's why. I think she looks for strong people, but also like bad people.
But what about the sisters, the nurses? They were killing people.
Yeah, but theirs was different. Like, I don't know.
I'm just trying to find.
That's why I'm saying like the driven by thing, because it's like because when the butcher was approached by her, it was because she was doing all these evil things to truly survive and help help her people survive.
In her head, justifiable, whereas the sisters were kind of more just flippant killings.
Yeah.
Well, also Lee did kill the ex-husband Mason for her daughter to survive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I
like
can see why the butcher and Lee have a parallel.
connection?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, the trio, unfortunately, gets sucked up into all of this. They decide to go back into the woods. They find out they've got 20,000 new followers.
In an
They're
hour.
trending.
Which is very important.
I mean, this was kind of fun.
Hashtag blood moon.
I do like the handheld genre of horror stuff, so I did like what they were doing here. But like, this was just, again, it was it.
That was
I don't
cheesy
get
to
why.
me.
It's like a lot of the characters, I feel like in some of the horror story seasons, are caricatures of real people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you just get like these 3 kids who are just so like, oh my god, no way, did we really? Selfie with a dead body. Like, it's just so much.
It is
Yeah.
very over the top, like almost like the Halloween costume of a millennial.
Yeah,
it was cheesy.
It is. It was a little.
It was
cheesy
a little
for
over the
me.
top. And I mean, I get like all the references. Like, they also keep having the whole Hollywood, like, never meet your idols thing. They have Todd, played by Jacob Artist, shows up and gets killed by Lee after he says, "First, let me say I'm a huge fan." Then just gets slashed immediately. Which anybody who's ever, had a bad interaction meeting a celebrity, at least you didn't get your throat
Didn't
slit.
get murdered.
Yeah.
Didn't get straight up murdered. Todd
Butchered
style.
in the head like
So now,
And
now
then the
other.
Blair Witch dolls show up. This is what bothered me too. Is like, so we have these references to these like doll things that we've had throughout that have been very clearly Blair Witch references. They're like the exact same little stick man. But now it seems like, because this whole time I've been waiting to see what's the payoff for it, and it's just so they can have the handheld camera of somebody looking with a beanie in the woods, Blair Witch style.
I mean, I can't imagine that's been the goal all along, but truly for them to have that specific of a thing throughout the entire season, I still don't understand what purpose they even serve.
I think
or
that's
who
what
they
the
even,
payoff.
or
I
who they
really-
even come from.
I-
Are they the
yeah.
colonials? Are
It's
who's
just,
putting them
I think
up?
it's just supposed to be like a creepy, like the colonial thing, like it's some sort of weird.
It's just this weird motif we keep getting, but it doesn't.
But it's like, it's kind
actually
of like
connect to
the,
anything.
it's like the chins just circling back so that they can
Yeah.
have a ring reference. I feel like all of this was just a setup to bookend, because they even put Sophie in the beanie with the exact same camera angle while Milo doesn't say anything, so they can have that entire monologue that is a direct Blair Witch reference right after the dolls before Milo pulls her out and then makes it American Horror Story again.
Yeah.
So that I was like, really? This was just so you could, I mean, I like the reference, and I like that they keep doing like references, but that one I was like, that's a little on the nose.
I think they could have done that reference without the dolls, because there's no point.
Yeah.
They, like you said,
Just
they,
I mean, at this
there's no
point,
way to-
handheld running through the
and
woods.
with Blair
like,
Witch
that
having
is pretty
just
much
been a
the
remake
reference.
too, like you need the exact dolls that are still in the remake of Blair Witch that was also in the, like,
Yeah.
they're the exact same ones. I don't know. But they run from the dolls and they find all of the bodies strewn across the lawn in front of the production trailer, which they run into, and they hear banging on the door, and it's Dylan.
So Dylan's alive.
So Dylan's alive. They don't know
good
that.
for you.
They think Dylan is something
A ghost.
terrifying trying to get them. Dylan's just trying to find safety.
Yeah.
Poor Dylan.
Why didn't he say, "Please help me" when he was
Yeah.
banging on that door?
That's what, I
You know,
would
he
be
could have
like,
just been like, "Hey, no, I need help."
yeah.
Just say,
Communication.
Speak.
And also, they recognized him. They were like, oh, he played Ambrose. Like, he played one of the bad guys. But then they see the screens of the house with all of the characters, and they're like, oh, no, that's Shelby. I
They
love
got
Shelby, and I
distracted.
love this person.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what about Ambrose? How'd
Who's
you feel
right
about
outside.
Ambrose? Because
Right.
he's not dead.
Yeah.
And you could help him be not dead. Or you could just
Right.
stare at the
And
screens
then-
and talk about how sad
got
you are about the people far
And
away.
then, funny enough, they ultimately decide, like, we're going to go, because they see Lee approaching the house, and they're like, oh no, we have to go
Save
Audrey and Monae from Lee. But like, so you have that much motivation to go save them by like fighting off a murderous woman when you could have just opened the door to the homeboy.
He was not an important character. That's what that was basically
That's what we
saying.
just found out is no love for the Polk reenactors.
No
Hope
love.
you get cast as a lovable character, because if you get cast as Pigman, you're gonna die in the woods.
Yeah.
But I
Nobody's
think
coming to save you.
I think they just thought he was like a ghost like Diane. That's why.
I think they probably were just freaked out. But, you know, at this point, too, they call the cops, and we've already had the setup. The cops don't think that any of this is real. So the cops aren't going to do anything. They're not going to help them out. So it's all up to them to go to the house to save them from Lee, who they now know is murderous. It makes sense, and I'm glad that they structured it in a way that, you know, you're like, oh, okay, this is clear motivation. But it also just seemed to
Real
me,
dumb.
Very, very much so. I would have
just
stayed
seemed a little,
in that trailer.
Right.
Yeah,
I would
like,
have
I'm like,
not
why
left
would
the
you-
trailer.
I would wait out that
If I had a
blood moon.
phone that worked, I would have called everyone and anyone.
I would have called
Yeah.
everybody. I would have been like, I would be posting about it. I would be
Right.
sending up flyer, like pinning
Yeah.
my location, putting it on Facebook, be like, everybody come find me right now. And I would
Right.
lock myself in that trailer,
Right.
and I would not leave.
Yeah, we'll wait for that blood
So
moon to go.
that was a little hard for me to believe, but
Right.
for the sake of argument, for the sake of story, we'll give
Yeah.
it to them.
They were fanatics.
So Audrey, back at the house, is talking to Monae, who, you know, they're talking about the tapes, and she's saying at this point she thinks Lee is dead, and that the Polks have probably caught her. Which we get a little bit of comedic relief with Monae saying, well, good, I hope they're hungry.
Yeah.
Aww.
Which,
I liked Monae.
Aw.
Monae was funny. She had a
Yeah.
good swag about her.
Sassy.
I liked her.
Yeah.
She should have got more screen time, TBH.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think. But Lee shows up in a trance, saying all of her Celtic nonsense, and then just says, you guys shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here, you vile creatures. So then Monae takes offense to it.
And is like, I'm not scared of you with your cleaver, you crazy ass.
Yeah, Cleaver, you should be kind of scared.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Real-
I just called
real
you a
scared.
murderer. I just
Yeah.
called you a murderer. You got anything to say about that? And then she gets murdered.
She didn't have anything to say.
She was just like,
I was waiting
Yeah.
for a pushing over the stairs moment.
Yeah.
yeah, that seemed like a good.
It's like a death becomes her. Wasn't that
Yeah.
one of the songs? Like,
Yeah.
real good push.
And
Real
the stake
skewered
through the
on
heart
that-
felt very
on
like
that,
vampire.
Yeah.
She got real skewered.
Yeah. Ooh.
But then Audrey, loving this 11th hour Audrey, she fights,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, man.
She hits Lee hard and she gets her running. And then she stabs her real good and gets her running even more.
But she keeps falling. I'm like, that's
She
a
does
very
keep
much
falling.
so
Also,
a
like,
horror
she's wearing
movie,
like a really terrible dress for this scenario. She's wearing like a maxi dress,
Yeah,
like
I need her
with full sleeves.
tie
Like
it up, girl.
Yeah.
And take it off. You
Take
gotta
it-
run
yeah.
quick.
You got
you
make
just
yourself
you
like
have
an
time
Aladdin
to you have
pantsuit
time
at
to
this
like
point.
smoke a doobie and drink some stuff.
Yeah.
Like maybe change.
Put on
Yeah.
pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe put on some like
Or some
Skechers shape ups or something.
Shorts and some Vaseline.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just a little inside thing, you know.
Shorts
when you
and
wanna,
some Vaseline.
when you want to fight, you want, you know, you put on some Vaseline.
Right.
I like it. I
Just
like
a little
About to be
tidbit.
a what?
The problem is that ghosts have great grip. And
Well,
they
I
can
mean,
just-
Lee at the moment, but yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
So we get Sophie's Blair Witch moment as she runs back to the house, and Lee stabs Audrey, who's at the entrance to the cellar, just right into the
That
cellar.
was an interesting
yeah.
time for her to choose to just go to the cellar.
Yeah,
I don't know,
I'm
she's
like,
gonna try and
why-
lock herself in.
That's what I was like
So no
wondering
one can come
too.
in?
Is why was she going to the cellar at this point? Why weren't they going? If they thought that was a safe house, why
Yeah.
were you not
Yeah.
going to the cellar from the beginning?
Yeah.
She probably was just trying to go anywhere other than where Lee was, I guess.
Yeah, if there was some
That makes
dialogue
sense.
prior to say something about, you know, we should, you know, try to go in a cellar
Yeah.
or something, that would have been
Yeah.
good. So they'll know that's why
But-
she went.
Yeah, so
But Lee just continues to be real pushy. And
Oh,
But-
yeah. Pushy.
And literally
real pushy.
pushed-
Yep.
Yeah.
Bush.
Pushes on. She's like, push Monae, check. Push Audrey, check. I'm gonna vote for Lee because she got hit by that bus.
Yeah. For real.
So then we get the live cam that is apparently being sent to Todd Allen Connor's iCloud. But we see the kids, they get the live feed of poor Dylan, who has been caught by the villagers because they did not help him.
Aww.
This is on you, that he gets hooked and disemboweled.
Ow, like cricket.
Just cricket style. Straight up cricket style.
Took some guts, though, you know?
And,
A lot of it.
yeah. Hey, I loved it. So then we see Lee shows up, grabs Sophie and Milo, starts dragging them. They realize they have made poor choices.
Very much so, poor choices.
Now you
just
realize?
like
Yeah.
just like they were accusing the police of, you never realize until it's too late. You guys, you done messed up.
And they died.
They died in a not a great way.
Very
Died
slow.
hard.
Yeah.
But also their whole defense for why they shouldn't be killed when Sophie's like, I'm going to be a doctor because I want to help people and Milo's a good person. You don't have to do this. I'm like,
Really?
what? Do you really think that these murderous people are like, oh, well, we
Yeah.
love doctors.
Yeah.
Doctors do the opposite of what we do. We're totally into that.
What else are you gonna do, though? I mean, I guess she couldn't run. She was
Yeah.
Yeah.
babble random
Secured.
stuff. Yeah. Bargaining, please.
Aw.
I'm like,
Well,
okay,
unfortunately,
Just
she made a
trailer.
mistake.
Did you write that down like the second it happened?
No,
Have
that
you
one,
been-
that just popped off.
Not
Not
yet.
just
Look at
now.
you.
Look at you.
Thanks.
Holla.
I try. Yeah, she got staked right through the heart, like full-fledged Buffy style.
Yeah,
Like,
so
it's-
like it
Staked
was
up.
just like we didn't really see it, but then
They
they're all of a sudden
knew.
propped up and staked, and I was like, so like, is it literally just through?
I
their
think
whole
it's
body?
just through their whole body. They just stake them up,
Ow.
which they're
Yeah.
alive the whole time.
I mean,
they
I get a
feel all of
splinter,
that.
and you're gonna hear about it for a week.
Vlad
then,
and
so-
Pale.
That's the worst splinter
Splinters
ever.
are yeah.
Ew.
Ooh.
And then they get lit
remove that
on
with a
fire.
match.
too.
Yeah,
So-
then just to add fire to injury,
Yeah. They
they get
Keep it crispy.
doused and
Aw.
deep fried Instagrammers. Not
And
great.
so like now, so this is an interesting point because now we have like Lee side by side with the butcher. Like Lee is now like saying she
her
is the butcher,
ranks.
doing that whole speech about she is the queen of queens or whatever all that stuff is. And I don't like what was not like the same thing that happened with the butcher though.
No, it was a
the-
different weird thing, which I'm hoping that they'll explain more next episode.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we got enough of that in this
No.
one.
Well,
Where
especially because then what happens next? We just in the next morning when we
the
wake
next
up.
morning, the police show up, which apparently they're just like, I don't work nights.
Yeah. So like they like clock in at 8 and they're like 8:01. They're like, oh shit, we gotta go.
Oh, man.
And all of a sudden they're all
Look,
zooming into the house
These
finally.
kids sent
Yeah.
us this iCloud video of them being murdered last night, and
They don't work the blood moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, I wouldn't.
That's probably legit. It's because the local cops know better than that.
Yeah.
But you would think that they would know the goings on there and that it's a legit thing
Yeah.
because
All the years of people dying, that you know.
yeah,
all the
because they
killing.
think that
This
it's
is.
the police even say they show up, they find the bodies, they find Monae, they find everybody, then they find Lee who's alive, and they say that a lynch mob has shown up because it's something that they saw on the internet. Which that's the part that I don't get. Like I'm like, but you know that that's not the case because
Yeah.
Unless they just
I
hire
don't
like
know.
these dumb new cops that
Yeah.
don't know anything.
Or they just have to say it to cover themselves. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're supposed to be in cahoots
Yeah.
with the Polks, so they have to play dumb.
Could be that.
that's I guess that makes sense. But Lee kind of playing dumb herself. Was
I don't think she's
screaming
playing dumb. I
Yeah.
have to assume
Yeah.
that she
Yeah.
probably was actually like in some weird
trance and now like how Matt was and now
Yeah.
she's not and she wasn't even like cognizant of what she was doing
Right.
during the trance.
Yeah.
Right.
She was too freaked out, and she's not an actress, and like,
Yeah.
she's not the Audrey.
She's the
No.
real.
Yeah.
Right.
She's the real.
She's the real deal. So, she's begging to get me out of this hellhole when they find Audrey
Audrey comes crawling out.
crawling out of the cellar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Audrey.
Which was awesome until Psych Out.
I am
Oh.
so angry.
I am not a fan of this ending.
I hate.
Oh.
I hate. hate this in any type of film or show when you just do the psych out for like one last thrill that just has the crappiest payoff for a character that we now like love and root for.
That's the point,
But that's
though.
part of it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's why I hate this, but I kind of love to hate it.
Yeah.
Because it is, since all of this is an homage to horror movies and different horror movies in general, is that's kind of the thing, is that there ends up being the one last twist at the end and the killer pops up. So we think, go ahead.
I think but what I take issue with is that it's just so out of character for Audrey now at this point. She would not have been that impulsive and grabbed an officer's gun and tried to shoot her in this crowd.
Yeah.
She would have just started screaming murderer and like explained herself and been like, check the tapes. I got the receipts.
She gets upset and she just sees Lee and she just, says, you. She tries to grab the officer's gun and shoot Lee, but before she can, the officers all take her out. So,
but she's been out of character for a while. Remember, that's what you were saying earlier. Don't side-eye me. I didn't write it. Side-eye Ryan Murphy.
I can see her doing this.
Seriously
It makes sense to me.
No, but remember, she got out of character from when Lee had killed, what's her name?
Monae?
Monae, yeah. You said that she started getting out of character.
Right, but that's
So
that's what I'm saying.
This is the
But it was a
culmination.
good, like that was the right development. I feel like that if she should still be in that survivalist mode, and she would not have done that.
Now that the
She
cops
was
are
in
there.
survival mode. She wanted to shoot
Yeah.
her. Get rid of the, killer.
Which was too impulsive at this point.
I really was hoping for another Sarah Paulson surviving season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This brings it
Well,
to
Survive them all.
But technically, she will be alive for all of the episodes. Just as a different character.
Yeah.
Because we get the wrap up for this one, and then the little teaser for next week is that we see that Lana Winters is going to be interviewing Lee. And the nation is polarized on how they feel about Lee. And we're going to get, hopefully, some more backstory as to what's going on with this Scathach situation.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad
That's if
that
she
they
even knows what it
clearly
is.
set it up to be like it's a polarizing situation, because I was gonna say if somehow she gets out of this and like is heralded as like a hero or a survivor, like
Yeah.
so they made it very evident that they must know that she did in fact murder her husband and everything now at this point. So because they show like a court scene at one really quickly and. So I'm happy with that.
And we know that it's been like, some time because she's
Her
got a
hair's
different
different.
look. Yeah, she's got different clothes.
And
different
Lana
hair.
is older than when we left her in Asylum, which Asylum ended theoretically whenever that season was, and so she's even older. So I feel like technically what we'll see in the finale next week will be like in the future from now, right?
Well, what do you guys say we hop into a little bit of predictions?
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I just want to say I did predict right, and I
So that Lee would be the survivor.
And I did predict that Lana Winters was going to do the interview.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yay.
We work together, guys.
And then we do have we kind of talked about this, like thinking that what if whoever the survivor was wrote a book and like maybe this season was like mirroring the book, because we do have like the fact that everything's called chapter is a little like do we wonder. I mean, but other than that, I don't know what to predict for next week. I truly don't.
I like that theory that it's the book, though. That would make sense why it's chapters and not episodes, since it's supposed to be based off of a TV show.
I like that.
So that's interesting.
I guess my only thing would be, that Lana's going to interview Lee and Lee's going to give us some information. I don't know about giving us information about Sasquatch, whatever we call her, because I don't think she's Sasquatch, whatever she is. I don't think she's that in tune with that. But I don't know what else to say.
This is more of like a hope than a prediction about the Scathach, whatever we're calling.
There you go. That's
Scathach.
Scathach.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe that's going to lead into either just a cliffhanger or if it is something about the next season, because I feel like now we're gonna have not for the first time, but our lone survivor also essentially is now evil at this point.
Yeah.
So
I think-
how does that get wrapped up?
Yeah, I think that Lee is going to not even realize that she was possessed.
Yeah.
And now she's going to get off scot-free. She's going to go into the world, and the Scathach is going to unleash.
Right. That's
And
it.
she's going to kind of spread out her territory and claim more lands by dousing blood of victims to consecrate the land and then make it hers.
And we'll probably
That's
get a
good.
revisit to Salem I definitely
That would make
believe
sense
that.
if like that's how we
definitely
get a
believe
link in, because and it would also make sense how we get to
The Sask.
like the murder house and everything, and how we would spread out. Like if she goes to LA and then she starts killing there, then that makes that
Right.
consecrated ground, and then
And because we know that she started Coven, all the witch lines
Yeah.
from Coven. So I mean, yeah. we
so
do
I would
have-
think that maybe Lee is the original Supreme. Kind of like, well, I mean, obviously the Scathach is, but like
So
she's
Lee's
like
gonna
the
come back into play.
yeah, somehow
Interesting.
We'll see.
maybe, even if it's just like a look or like a one line thing. I feel like it's gonna be a small throwaway. I don't think it's gonna be a big.
Right.
I don't know. I can't believe there's only 1 week left.
I
Yeah.
know.
That's insane. This has gone by so fast.
Which and you know, if Ryan Murphy and co do anything well, it's a finale. So,
I'm excited about the finale.
We're gonna have our drinks.
Yes, we will definitely be cheersing. Before we go too, we have to do a shout out to my mom because today is her birthday and she loves the show.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Rhonda. Happy birthday, Mom. We love you. So we also love all you guys and we love
Yes.
hearing from you guys. Please send us your comments. If you're listening to us on iTunes or SoundCloud, check us out on YouTube and vice versa. Be sure to subscribe, rate, comment, and keep up with us on social media. Where can we find more from you guys?
Hit me up on Instagram and Twitter at Zach Kelch. Good night, everyone.
Hey guys, hit me up on Instagram at Michelle_Madison TV. Have a good weekend.
Hey, I'm Kelly McInerney. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at HollyWeirdo.
And I'm Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl. And you can check us all out at AfterBuzz TV. See you guys next week. Bye.
Woo!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.